Hey everybody, my name is Tobin, and I am the one that is crazy enough to try and cover this article in 3 to 5 minutes. So we're going to jump right in. This follows our philosopher René Descartes, and he was born on March 31st of 1596. He's a very private person according to the text, so we don't know a ton about him. A little bit of background: he was raised by his grandmother, his mother died when he was young, and his dad lived away from him. He ended up going to the best school in France at the age of 10, and his education primarily focused on theology, so God and Aristotle, which were both pretty relevant concepts at the time in education. So fun fact about him real quick, he managed to convince his teachers to let him lay in bed longer than the other students because he was meditating. Whether he was actually meditating or napping, I guess we'll never know. But there are accounts of him popping up to scribble a note about something before laying back down. So maybe he actually was meditating. He ended up graduating at the age of 16 from this college and traveled to Paris, where he had a brief mentorship with a monk that he ended up having to leave. His grandmother passed away, and then he started doubting his education because he felt like if there are so many opinions on like a specific thing and only one of them is right, what does my education mean? He ended up having a crisis, having a strange dream, long story short, and decided to pursue knowledge about the world around him. He decided to become a soldier because he was bored and didn't know what else to do, and he wanted to see if they had any other knowledge about the world around them. He didn't find what he was looking for there, but he did meet a mathematician named Isaac who helped him create his first idea, which is called analytical geometry. Analytical geometry says that any point in space you can calculate based on distances from 3 lines or planes. So for instance, if I put my hand in the air right here, numerically, you should be able to calculate this point in space based on the distance from this wall, and that ceiling. It's a very limited concept, but they had very limited knowledge at the time, and that was his argument for analytical geometry. He also created his own scientific method that has 3 major tenets. Number 1, doubt everything. Number 2, don't trust the experts. Kind of create your own opinions about the things you're studying. And 3, use step-by-step, non-biased judgments and methods to create your understanding of the world around you. He did a lot of work in the field of the brain, and he was one of the first to pioneer the concept of reflexive responses. Aristotle had a theory that there is something within us called the animal soul or the animal spirit, which is because they had a limited knowledge of how the body works, that is what they considered to be within us and help with memory, cognition, and bodily functions. So René leaned into these pretty hard. His first one is that innate reflexive responses. So when you're too close to the fire, your nerves know to move back. That's your innate response. The learned response is when the stimulus and the response aren't quite connected, but the connection is still there. For instance, kids knowing to leave the building during a fire drill when they hear the bell. And he believed these are because of the animal spirits helping to control the nerves in the brain and make things move. So he believed that the body and the mind are also separate. This makes him an interactive dualist. He believed in interactive dualism because he believed that the body and the mind are separate, but he also believed that there are things that are caused by both in interactions between the two. He also believed one can't exist without the other. He theorized that the interaction between the soul, your brain, and the body happened within the brain. And the reason he believed this is because within the brain there is something he found called the pineal gland, which extends into an area where he believed it could be most influenced by the animal soul. Again, remember, that's what they believed to be moving things around in the brain. The church ended up attacking for this theory. They didn't like that very much. They believed it was promoting atheism and free thinking because he thought that the body can be studied, but also that the mind can't. So the reason we have so much trouble studying bodily functions is because when the mind and the body are involved, it's kind of contradictory to themselves. I think a lot of these ideas have a lot of application to today and are worth studying more on. Thank you for watching.